guys, good evening and welcome to this session on 5 reasons why 99% students fail in bank exams, brought to you by TalentSprint. Well, I'm sure this is a very interesting topic and all of you are excited to know what these 5 reasons are which leads to failure of 99% students, by which I mean most of the students in bank exams. Why 5 reasons? I mean, if you are actually looking at the number 5, then I think that doesn't hold much of importance, but important reasons why we fail, right? It could be 5 or 4 or 3 or 6. Maybe some of you are, for some of you only 4 may hold true. You're already doing right when it comes to one of those reasons, right? Some of you are like, are in that 3 reasons, 2 are okay for you, right? I mean, 2 of these reasons are not valid for you. Only 3 are valid for you. Because it depends on what your strategy is and whether you really do these mistakes or not. So the number as such is not important, but reasons why students fail in bank exams, right? So 5 reasons why students fail in bank exams. I think I'll keep it short. I mean, it's like old discussion, right? Now, reason number 1, I know everything is what most of the students feel. Right? I know about the syllabus. I know all these topics. I've learned everything in my school days, right? So I know everything, or what I only need to know is all the shortcuts, all the smart methods, right? All the techniques that can help me score more marks. Yes or no? Let me just put this here. I mean, this is what you guys may feel, right? I know everything. Or I should know all the shortcuts, right? I should learn all the shortcuts and techniques and smart methods, etc. Right? Yes or no? How many of you feel this? I know everything, I know all the shortcuts, or I should learn all the shortcut, I should learn all the formulae, and then I'll be able to score more marks, right? Like if you look at one of these subjects, like quantitative aptitude, I've come across this many a times, right? When I ask students, what do you think can actually make you score more marks in quantitative aptitude, or what should you do so that you can score more in quant, the one reason that always pops up, right, from most of the students is that I should know all the shortcut formulae, right? We generally feel that if I know all the shortcut formulae, I'll be able to score more, right? The mindset is that because I do not know the shortcut formulae, I'm not able to score more marks. So I should learn all the shortcut formulae. I should learn all these techniques which can help me score more. And we have an opinion that students who have actually, given a top performance in the quant section know all the formulae, which probably I don't know. That is the opinion, but it is not the case. If you run only behind the shortcut formulae, then you are getting into a trap, right? The real problem is not the shortcut formula. See, I always say all of us know the shortcut formula. There's nothing which is a secret, right? All of us will know the shortcut formula by the time you go for the exam. Maybe today, everybody does not know all the formula. But then before you go for the exam, you will get to know somehow or the other, right? It's not a secret. What we do not realize, or what we fail to realize, is that the tool that can actually help you improve your performance using the shortcut formula. You're getting it. Maybe, I'm sure some of you will feel, no, I don't feel that. I actually feel that I have to learn a lot and all that. But then, see, understand, it is not the shortcut formula that is going to help you. Let me give a simple example. I have used this example many times. So people who have been attending my live classes would maybe find it a little boring that why are you repeating the same example, but it's important for those who have joined only today, right? Do you know how to calculate simple interest? Right? Interest is an important topic of quantitative aptitude. See, I'm narrowing down to quantitative aptitude. It holds true for all the subjects. Now, do you know how to calculate simple interest? Do you know the formula? Almost everybody says yes, right? Simple interest is equal to P into T into R by 100, PTR by 100, where P is the principal amount, T is the time period, R is the rate of interest, right? So that's the formula, right? That's like a shortcut formula, you can say, or that's the formula which you have to use to find out the answer. Now let's assume that all of us have gone for an exam where the question is on simple interest, right? The principal amount is given to us, the time period is given to us, and the rate of interest has also been given. What they're asking us to calculate is simple interest. Right? Let's say the principal is 10,000, time period is 3 years, and rate of interest is some 8.5% per annum, or 9% per annum, or 13% per annum, right? Some value there. So all 3 values are given to us: principal, time, and rate of interest. What we are supposed to do is find out the simple interest. Now tell me, can you all solve this question? Yes, no doubt about that, right? Can all of you solve this question? Yes. All those who have said I know the formula will definitely agree with me, right? They can, you can solve this question. P into T into R by 100. Substitute the values, simplify and get the answer. Now, a bigger question that arises is, of course, all of us will get the right answer. But will all of us get the answer exactly at the same time? Answer this question now. Do you think all of us will get the answer exactly at the same time? Whatever be the answer there, simple interest equals to PTR by 100. Will all of us get the answer exactly at the same time? Yes or no? All of us are not going to get the answer exactly at the same time. Now, why does this happen? Try to analyze this. Why does this happen? Same principal amount, same time period, same rate of interest. We are using the same formula. P into T into R by 100. Then why is it that we get answers at different points of time, right? Some take 10 seconds. There are few who take 20 seconds. Some students will take 30 seconds. There are, a bunch of guys who take about 60 seconds. And then there are a very few students who will get the answer in about 2-3 seconds. Why does this happen? Is it because they knew some shortcut formula? No. Is it because they know some other formula? No, it's not because of that. It is because they were able to do that calculation faster. You're able to follow. So it is not the formula that matters, right? It is not actually the shortcut formula that will help you score more marks. It is the way you perform your calculations when it comes to quantitative aptitude, right? It is the way you do your calculation that helps you score more marks in the exam. Yes or no? Why does some take only 10 seconds and others take 30 seconds? Because they're all differing when it comes to their calculation ability, right? Speed. All of you are commenting that speed. It depends on your practice. Now, what really matters here is how do you look at those numbers? How do you do your calculations? And this is not just in case of simple interest. It is applicable for all the questions from quantitative aptitude. Yes or no? Every question from quant has got numbers. You have to play with those numbers, right? You have to play with those numbers. So instead of improving that part of your, instead of improving your calculation ability, we are all running behind shortcut formulae. I'm not against the shortcut formula. I'm not saying it will not help you. It will definitely help you. Shortcut formula will help you. But if you are under an impression that only shortcut will help you, no, you're wrong. The fact is, more than the shortcut formula, you should be able to do the calculation faster. And this has been proven in every single class that I've taught so far. Right? You believe it or not, every class that I teach, the same thing comes out. It is because of your poor calculation ability that you have not been able to call. You will get the answer. All of you will get the answer. I'm sure for the simple interest question also, all of you will get the right answer. But will all of you get the answer exactly at the same time? See, time management is the biggest challenge, right? Time management is the biggest challenge. So, are you really able to manage the time there? No. Because you have learned only the formula and you have practiced on that. Now, sure, most of you have also learned various speed maths techniques and working on the calculations. But for others who have not been doing it, understand. This is a very important tool, right? You have to be very, very quick in your calculations. And here I recall a quote from Abraham Lincoln, right? Who was very nicely said that if you give me a tree to cut down, and if I've been given a tool like an axe and 1 hour of time to cut the tree, right? Your job is to cut the tree down in 1 hour of time. He'll say, in this 1 hour, at least 45-50 minutes, I'll be sharpening my axe. Now that's called smart work, right? Because you're sharpening your tool and reducing your efforts of hitting that axe on the tree. And what most of the other people do is they keep continuously hitting it because they feel only 1 hour is left, so I have to just do it very quickly, as quickly as possible, right? And they're not sharpening their axe, they're just continuously hitting it. So I mean, if you understand the analogy here, it's like you're sharpening your tool is like improving your calculation ability, right? And keep hitting it is like, keep learning more and more shortcut formulae. So understand, guys, that you have to improve your calculation ability to be able to score more in quantitative aptitude, and by which you'll be able to score more overall in the exam there. Now this is with respect to quant. What about the other section? Like for example, look at English language. We do learn various concepts, right? We know that what comes in the exam, what kind of questions are asked in the exam, right? Questions are from spotting the errors, fill in the blanks, parachimbles, reading comprehension, which all of you have been talking about, right? Now, what else has to be done there, right? I think a very important part when it comes to English language is vocabulary. Are you working on your vocabulary, right? See, you can learn all the shortcut formulae in one day, just one day before the exam, but you cannot improve your calculation ability in one day, right? It is a journey. You have to do it on a daily basis, right? There are certain things which have to be done on a daily basis, right? Instead of exercising half an hour a day, if you say I'll exercise only for 15 hours in one day to cover for the whole month, it's not going to help you. Half an hour a day is like 15 hours for the month. So half an hour a day has to be done on a regular basis. You cannot say I'll do for 15 hours in one day and my exercise for the whole month is done. It's not that, right? That way things don't work. Same is the case with calculation. Same is the case with vocabulary, right? You cannot be learning 300 words in a day instead of learning 10 words every day, right? If you look at 1 month as a cycle, right? You have to learn 10 words every day, right? So these are the things that you have to focus on, right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is we are running behind the wrong problems. We are trying to solve the wrong problems, right? Shortcuts and everything can be learned, but start doing things which are more important than that, right? And I think I've already given you enough explanation on that, right? When it comes to general awareness, right? Some of you have asked me, how many months of current affairs should we prepare when you go for bank exams? Now this question came just in this session today, right? In the beginning of the session today, right? How many months of general awareness should I be prepared for before I go for the exam? Now you cannot be asking this question, right? It is like 10 days for your exam now, or less than a week for your exam, and you're asking a question about how do you prepare for general awareness. You should have done that from day one onwards, right? You all know that reading a newspaper is very important, but do we really do that? No, we are not doing it. Now see, somebody says last 6 months. Bhuvaneshwari has just responded, last 6 months. That's the problem. Yeah, last 6 months is correct. You have to be prepared for at least for the last 6 months of current affairs, but do we have to do that last 6 months in last 6 days? No, that last 6 months has to be done in this 180 days, right? 6 into 30 if you say 180 days. So are we really doing that, right? These are the all those who have cleared the SBI clerk's preliminary exam, right? Good, congratulations. I've already congratulated you, and I'm sure you'll do well in the mains exam as well. But tell me, were you reading newspaper every day? I'll be glad if you say yes. I'll be happy to go wrong. And I know that not everybody is doing that, right? We start reading these current affairs and preparing for these current affairs only before the exam. Now I have cleared the preliminary exam, right? So let me prepare for current affairs also, because that's a part in your mains exam, right? That is one of the subjects in your mains exam. So what really matters is understand these things, right? We don't realize what the problems are. We don't realize what the bigger problems are. See, the competition is huge. The reason why most of us fail is because less number of seats. But then you can't be leaving it to that, right? You have to put in efforts from your end so that you can capitalize on your preparation. So the point is, realize what the problem is. I mean, you know the problem when you're not working towards that. You're working on the wrong problems. So I think one important reason here is change your overall, behavior, I would say, right? The way you're looking at things, right? It is easy, but again, it's not as simple as you think, right? You have to put in efforts. Hard work is really needed, right? And at the same time, you have to do it in a smart way. Just practicing questions from quantitative aptitude or practicing questions from reasoning and English language is not going to help. You should know what are the right things to be done so that you can improve your performance. You're getting it? So like they always say, right? Smart work but not hard work is important, right? Hard work is not important. You have to work smart, right? It's not hard work but smart work that helps. I have a slightly different opinion. You have to work smart and hard both, right? So basically you have to work hard in a smart way, right? You have to put in good amount of efforts in the right direction. All right. Now, what else do you think could be reason? All of you agree that practice is important? Yes or no? All of you believe that practice is important. I was just going through the chat. When we were discussing initially, many of you said that we have to practice a lot. We have to practice. Practice is the only solution, right? Keep practicing. There's no other shortcut, which is good. All of you practice. I'm sure all of you would practice a lot. But is that only enough? If you think I have practiced enough, will that help you? How many of you take actions on that? See, this is the problem. This is again. I like to connect to the question on the cutoff that you're asking, right? What is the cutoff score last year, right? You keep that in your mind and practice accordingly, which I think is another reason why many of us are not able to perform to the optimum levels in the exam. You're getting me, right? I have practiced enough is what you probably feel, which is you have practiced a lot, but keeping in mind the cutoff of last year, which is not going to help you. And in fact, you also go for the exam with this mindset that last year the cutoff was 9 marks out of 30 in English, 12.5 in quant, and 11 in reasoning. So if I, let's say, answer 15 questions from each of the sections, I'm sure I'll clear the cutoff. But that's not the case. Are you able to follow? You have to practice, but just practicing a lot is not going to help, right? Now, many of you will be surprised, right? What kind of a reason is this? You're saying practicing a lot will help me improve my scores. Is the reason why students fail in bank exams? Yes, it is. This is the reason. Again, this is like a little controversial. I know many of you will not agree with this, right? Because I always keep saying that you have to practice a lot, which is true. But only practicing and not improving yourself based on the analysis of that exam is what leads us to, keeps us behind others, right? You're getting it. Just practicing different number of, n number of mock tests and section level tests is not going to help. You have to analyze where you have gone wrong, right? Don't keep the cutoff scores of last year and try to compare your performance with that. It is important that you know what the cutoff is, but or it is not even important in one way, right? How does it matter? It's like this, again the same example that I have always quoted about cricket, right? I'll give you the scores of two particular teams in all the matches that they've played so far. Can you predict this? Can you tell me how much will they score in the next game? No one can do that. So it's like that, right? Cutoff is something that is decided after the exam gets over. Cutoff is not pre-decided, right? They don't say that you have to get 40% marks in each section to get a call for the next level, right? Or they don't say that anybody who scores more than 60% will be qualified for the next round. It's not that, right? People who have scored 10% also may get qualified. It all depends on how all others have performed, right? It all depends on the overall performance, right, of all the students in that exam. So understand, don't worry about cutoff. Cutoff is not in your control, right? It can only be a concern, but it cannot be under your control. What is under your control is to practice a lot, right? And improve with every mock test that you take. See, your score may go down in the next mock test, that is okay, but you should not commit the same mistake again and again, right? Mistake is not a mistake if you have learned from it, right? So when you give a mock test, if you have spent 2 hours taking the mock test, I would say you should spend another 2 hours in going through how you have performed and try to list down those things which should not be done in the next exam. Are you able to follow? Just practicing a lot will not help, and that is what I'm trying to convey through this, right? Practicing a lot will help me improve my scores. No, just practicing will not help. You have to, that is the reason I was just reading some article the other day that there also it says, just giving more number of mock tests is not going to help, which is actually true, right? You have to spend an equal amount of time in analyzing how you have performed. And that is what is missing, right? You don't analyze your performance. You just look at the final score. Okay, I've got 87, which is good. Or I've got, 43, which is like pathetic, right? I have to improve a lot. The simple analysis that is going to help you, right? Question by question, right? The number of steps that you have put on paper, what was supposed to be written, what was not supposed to be written, right? Should you have attempted this question or not? All these things are very, very important, right? I've spent 40 seconds in this question. Is it really worth solving it? Although I've got 1 mark, but should I spend 40 seconds for such a question? Or I got 1 mark for this question by spending 3 minutes. Instead of solving this one question in 3 minutes, what if I'd solved 5 easier questions in those 3 minutes? These analyses are very, very important. Are you able to follow? So what we actually fail to do is analyzing our performance. What we are happily doing is taking lots and lots of mock tests, right? You buy n number of books from the market, you subscribe for online test series, but all that is not going to help. Or you just look at the solution. Okay, this is how you solve it. Just looking at the solution and learning how to solve the question will not help. What you have to learn from your own performance in that mock test is what mistakes have I committed here which should not be repeated again in the next exam. You're able to follow. If you have scored, let's say 80 marks in first mock test and 70 marks in second mock test, nothing wrong. Don't panic again. Don't feel that my score is going down. What you have to just ensure is the mistakes that were committed here in mock test 1 should not be committed in mock test 2. Scoring going down is okay, and that's what may happen in the actual exam also, right? The cutoff last year was 80 does not mean that this year also it will be 80. It can be 90, it can be 70. Cutoff can go down also. It depends on overall performance, right? So understand that you have to spend an equal amount of time in analyzing your performance, right, in a given mock test or anything that you do, right? The other thing that I've realized, which may not be true, which may not hold true for all of you, but what I've realized is you take books which have got question papers, right? Let's say there is a quantitative aptitude section test that you want to solve. There are 40 questions. What you only do is try to solve these 40 questions and you say this is practice. I have practiced 40 questions. What you fail to do there is solving those 40 questions in 30 minutes of time. You're able to follow. It is very, very important that you practice in the actual exam environment, right? You're solving the same 200 questions, but you have infinite time there. you have solved 50 questions of quant in 3 hours. Although you've got 50 out of 50, is it worth it? No. It makes no sense. Getting 50 marks in 3 hours or 2 hours is like useless. So when you are solving, when you are practicing also, ensure that you have a strategy that, okay, in the actual exam, I have been given 45 minutes for quantitative aptitude, which has got 50 questions. Let's look at the main exam pattern. There are 50 questions in quant with 45 minutes of time. Now, when you are solving quant papers, ensure that you just close it in 45 minutes and see how many marks you have scored. What we do, we spend 1 hour, we spend 1.5 hours, we spend 1 hour 45 minutes. We try to solve all the 50 questions. See, for us, the target is solve all the 50 questions. See how many marks you are getting it. It's not about marks. You're getting it. That's what I'm trying to just repeat again and again. It's not just about the marks that you score in mock exams. There's more than that, right? Marks may come down. Don't worry. You should just see to it that you're not repeating the same mistakes and you're giving your best in that, right? In that particular mock test, in that limited time of 50 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever is given to us. I'm sure many of you will agree that you don't stick to this time limit, and that is what will actually happen in the actual exam also, right? Many or most of the students come out and say, I had decided to spend 30 minutes in the exam, but I ended up spending 40 minutes, and because of that I could not read 12 questions in English language. So because of your extra efforts in quant, you are cannibalizing your performance in some other subject there, which is wrong, right? So this is again a very important reason which most of us fail to realize. Okay, so practice is the key, but it's not the only key, right? From that practice you have to correct yourself. You're getting it? Now I think the reason number 3, which you don't choose your questions wisely in the exam, right? So what is the reason? I would say or in a different way, I would say you try to play every ball. I'm sure I don't have to give a lot of explanation for this one, right? Just try to understand this. All those who follow cricket will understand what I'm trying to say, right? You try to hit every ball in the match. Will that help you score more? No. You'll get out somewhere, right? You'll get caught somewhere. So you have to be very, very careful, right? You have to choose the balls properly, right? You have to choose the balls wisely. Same happens in an exam also. You have to choose your questions wisely, which most of us fail to do. I'm sure. I would just like to ask yes or no for this one, right? Do you agree with this or not? Do you agree that you fail to choose your questions wisely? And this again has to do with point number 2, right? I told you in point number 2, that's what I was mentioning, that I've already discussed about this in some part there, right? When you take a mock test as a practice test, when you take a practice test, you have to, I told you that if you're spending 2 hours in practicing the test, spend another 2 hours in analyzing what you have done there, right? And in those 2 hours, that's what you have to see. That I solved question number 4 and it took me about 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. I got 1 mark. Should I attempt such questions in the exam? You're able to follow. Just because you know the solution for a particular question does not mean that you will solve it in the exam, which is a very, very important point to note, right? Intentionally, these complex questions are placed, are planted in between a section, right? In the section there to trap us. A smart person will avoid that. And people who are others, who are not smart, will try to hit every ball, will try to solve every question. They get excited the moment you see that question, right? Okay, you're solving this quant paper, let's say. Question number 1, you solve it. Question number 2, you solve it. Question number 3, you solve it. Question number 4, you solve it. You solve it or either you fail to get the answer. You either get the answer or you fail to get the answer. But there is a third option, understand. These are not the only 2 options, right? The only 2 options which most of us think are either get the answer or fail to get the answer. But there is a third option. You may not want to answer that question, which is absolutely okay, right? See, our target is not to solve all the 100 questions in the exam. Are you able to follow? Or if you again look at quantitative aptitude, if there are 50 questions and 45 minutes of time is given to you, your target is not to solve all the 45 questions. Your target is to attempt all the 45 questions. Now you may ask me, what is the difference between attempt and solve? See, attempt, when I say attempt, I mean you have to read that question, right? Most of us, 99% of the students come out of the examination hall and say, I could not read the last 10 questions, or I could not read the last 8 questions in English section, or I did not read 5 questions of quantitative aptitude, I did not read 7 questions of reasoning ability. Yes or no? How many of you have faced this earlier? Tell me. I'm sure you would have taken bank exams before this, right? How many of you have failed, or how many of you have stepped out of the examination hall, examination room, and said that, okay, I could not read some of those questions. Why? Time was not sufficient. And the immediate response that you give is, time was not sufficient. Time was not sufficient, so I did not read last 5 questions, or I did not read last X number of questions. Yes or no? How many of you have felt that? See, everybody agrees. That is the worst thing that can happen to a candidate in the exam. Are you able to follow? Your target, I'm repeating this, your target is not to solve all the 50 questions. Your target is to attempt all the 50 questions. Now, by attempt, I mean read all the 50 questions that come. You may solve only 30 of them. Absolutely okay. You may solve only 23 of those 50 questions. Fine, no problem. You solve only 15 of those 50 questions. Even that's fine. But don't have a target of solving all the 50 questions. Right? You're not there to hit every ball. You're there to hit only the loose ones. Right? Respect good questions. It's like, you've solved question number 1, you've solved question number 2. You look at question number 3. Yes, you know the solution. You know how to solve this. You also know that solving this would take about 2 minutes. Or 100 seconds. You know what's the best solution? Skip. Are you able to follow? Remember, skip is also a solution to many questions in the exam. You getting me? Skip the question is also a solution, right? Did the examiner tell you that you have to solve all the 50 questions, only then I'll evaluate you? No. They are saying do your best, right? You have to do the best. Now we have a sectional time limit for mains exam, right? So should we really worry about this? Well, it is in the main exam. The first hurdle is the preliminary exam, which does not have this sectional time limit. And there it is very, very important. Like all those who are going to face the SBIPO preliminary exam in 10 days from now, what is the game? The game is about 100 questions, 60 minutes. And all of you know that you will not be able to answer all the 100 questions. Do you think you will solve all the 100 questions in 60 minutes? No. Be clear with that, right? Nothing, don't be in a fool's paradise that, okay, all 100 questions can be answered. No, it's not possible. You cannot answer all the 100 questions in 60 minutes. You will be able to answer only some. Now, when you know that you are able to answer only some, you yourself ensure that you choose the best of these questions. And by best, I mean the easiest ones, right? You're not going to prove there by saying that, this was very difficult, I solved it. So what? You will get only 1 mark. Whether you solve a question in 1 minute, 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or 1 second, you will get only 1 mark. Are you able to follow? For the examiner, only one thing matters, or only 2 things matter. Is it right or wrong? He will not worry about anything else, right? He will not look at your solution. He will not give you extra marks if you have done a very nice solution, right? He will not award you extra marks if you have solved a complicated one, which most others have skipped. You are actually a fool when you have attempted a complex one. Are you able to follow? So it is very, very important that you choose the questions wisely, right? Which we actually fail to do because we have not analyzed our performance in the mock test. I'm connecting this to point number 2 again. Are you able to follow? Are you all able to follow the point, right? So please understand that a good batsman will respect good balls, right? He'll respect the bowler. He says, okay, this is a good ball, I'll not hit it. Same thing has to be done. You have seen, you look at the best of the batsmen, right? Have you seen Sachin Tendulkar playing cricket? He has skipped many of the balls, right? So do we laugh at him? Do we say, why didn't you hit this ball? You are the best batsman in the world. You should hit every ball. No. That's his strategy. That's his game, right? I'm not saying that he has hit only loose balls in his career. Not that, but then, it is important. It is important that you skip the difficult ones, right? You have to see, if you want to play all the 50 overs, you have to skip some balls. So if you want to attempt all the 50 questions, you have to skip some of the questions. You're getting it. But don't come out of the examination hall and say, I could not read all the questions and, I missed some of the questions and all that. All right. So that's point number 3. That's reason number 3 why many of us fail in the bank exam, right? We don't choose our questions wisely. And remember, skipping a question is not wrong. It is absolutely correct as long as you have skipped the right ones, right? So you have to skip the right questions. Again, you are skipping easier ones, then it becomes difficult, right? And don't tempt, right? Most of us attempt to answer those questions for which we know the solution in the exam. It's not a rule. You know the solution. You also know that this is not worth it. So kill it. As simple as that. So that's about choosing your questions wisely. What else could be a reason that most of us fail to get a good score in the exam, right? Or fail to clear this sectional cutoff or overall cutoff, right? Or why do we fail in bank exams? Okay, I think some of you are still confused about the sectional time cutoff part, right? Is it there only for prelims or for both or only for mains and all that? If you have gone through the notification, you will know that sectional time limit is there only for the mains exam, not for the preliminary exam, right? The preliminary exam will have for the preliminary exam, there is no sectional time limit, right? There is a composite time of 1 hour given to you for attempting 100 questions. Fourth point, what is the reason, right? What could be another reason? Again, this point is something which I have discussed earlier, but I would like to bring it out separately as an exclusive point, because all of us are worried about this, right? And everybody will ask this question to me or to their teachers when they go for bank exam, right? I mean, I'm like flooded with questions of this format for which I don't have an answer. And it actually sounds funny to me that how can you depend on something like this for giving a good performance in the exam? I'm sure all of you have got my point, right? What would be the cutoff marks this time? What was the cutoff last year, right? So how do I put it, right? This is the reason why we fail. The other reason is that you prepare and you perform. Prepare and you perform, or prepare or perform based on previous year's cutoff, which is like very funny if you ask me. I mean, like, I have never been able to understand why do people worry about this. Tell me, how does this help you? I'll tell you. I mean, in the beginning of the session, I told you, right? I'll tell you the cutoff of last year, the year before that. I'll also tell you the cutoff of this year, next year, and every year, right? I actually have no answer to this, right? Everybody is asking this. I mean, everybody has asked this question to me, right? What should be the cutoff? And those who have been attending our classes, or at least my classes, would know the answer to this question. If you ask me what is the cutoff last year, I do not know. What is the expected cutoff this year? I do not know. Do not worry about that. See, there are two things. There are things which are under your control, and there are things which are not under your control. This is the other one, right? It is not in your control. What is in your control is your performance. So try to deliver, try to give the best performance, try to give a top performance, top class performance in the exam. Why do you worry about this? Understand. I'll tell you the last year's cutoff. Okay, last year the cutoff in English language was SBI PO prelims exam. English language was 9.5 marks. Quantitative aptitude was 11.75 marks, and reasoning was 13 marks. 9.5, 11.75 and 13. Tell me, how is this going to help you in the exam this year? Anyone has answer to this? At least I don't know what is the relationship between last year's cutoff and your performance this year. Okay, I'll somehow find out the cutoff of all the exams that have been held so far and give you the list. Will that help? No, it is all pre-decided, right? It is all pre-decided. So why do you waste your time in that, right? Why are you worried about it? It will only create nervousness, right? It will only create it will only build up pressure. Are you able to follow? So please do not worry about the cutoff scores, right? And believe me, nobody knows what the cutoff is. Last year's we can say, but expected cutoff people ask, right? I mean, they come and ask the cutoff also, right? What do you think will be the cutoff this year? How would I know? How on planet do you think will I know the cutoff for this year's SBA preliminary exam? I don't even know what are the questions that are going to be asked. I don't even know who all are going to appear for the exam. I don't even know how many students are going to appear for the exam. I am not sure of how well prepared are these guys. I don't know how many of them are prepared for the exam. How many of these guys are just going and taking the exam? How would I know? Expected cutoff. How does it matter? Doesn't matter, right? If I tell you that the cutoff is going to be 10, this year the cutoff is 10, English it is 10, reasoning is 10, quant is 10. What will you do? Will you attempt only 10 questions and come out? No. Or let's say cutoff is 10. I'm sure cutoff this year is going to be 10, 10 and 10 in English, quant and reasoning. So what do you think you'll do in the exam? You'll go to the exam, solve 12 questions in English, 12 in quant and 12 in reasoning, because cutoff is 10. You have answered 2 questions extra. So 12 marks anyway you will get in each section. This you are able to do in, let's say, 45 minutes. 15 more minutes are left for the exam. So will you not solve any questions and say it like this? Why? Because anyway you have scored more than what is the cutoff, right? What the cutoff is going to be. So will you just sit quietly there 15 minutes? No, you will solve more questions, right? Yes or no? If I say this year the cutoff in English is going to be 28, in reasoning it is going to be 31, and quant is going to be 33, which is like very close to the 100% of these sections, right? 30 marks in English is the total score, 35 and 35 in quant and reasoning. So what will you do? Will you just decide that, okay, it is impossible for me to score these many marks, so I'll not even attempt? Or you will go half-heartedly and take the exam? No, you're not going to do that, right? Whatever, whether I give a low cutoff or a very high cutoff, if I announce a very low cutoff or a very high cutoff, you are going to perform based on what you have practiced, right? Based on your preparation. So why do you worry about it? And why do you take that pressure, unnecessarily take that pressure? Oh, the cutoff is 15 and I'm worried. I'm not prepared well for English language. Don't worry about that. It is not in your control. What is in your control is your performance, right? That is in your hands. How do you perform better? You practice and you analyze. Again, I just don't want to end at practice, because you will say point number 2 was practicing alone will not help. You have to analyze based on what you have practiced, right? So please do not worry about cutoff and stop asking these questions. It will not help. And finally, the last one. I think this is a very important one. I'm sure many of you will not be aware of this. This is something new, and most of you will feel happy when I say this, right? Because this is something which you are not expecting, right? You have read about this idiom somewhere? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? The same thing happens in this world of competitive exams as well, right? It is correct that you have to work hard. You have to practice a lot. You have to analyze your performance, right? You have to keep improving your performance. You should not repeat the same mistake. You should not commit the same mistakes. But it is nowhere written that you should only practice and you should only work hard till you clear these exams. You're able to follow? See, all of you know that stress management is very, very important in the exam, right? Other than time management, you also have to manage that pressure, right? I mean, like 20 lakh people are going to appear for this SBIPO preliminary exam. That itself will scare half of us, right? Or most of us. And we are worried about those guys who are going to appear than our own performance, right? You go to the examination center, see so many people around you, right? You're like now tensed now, right? Some of you said that I'm already worried, right? There's a lot of tension. I'm under a lot of pressure, right? I'm fully tensed about this exam, right? In the beginning, when I asked how is your preparation, many of you had said this. Now you can actually, some amount of nervousness is good. You have to be nervous, otherwise the seriousness would not come. But again, if it crosses that cutoff, then it becomes difficult, right? There's a threshold for this, right? There is a threshold for the pressure also. It should not cross that. The moment it crosses that and starts building up, then you'll underperform in the exam. Though you have prepared well, though you have practiced a lot, though you are actually a good fit for the exam, you'll not be able to give your best shot because you're under pressure, right? You compare with others. Or this fellow has cleared 20 mock tests so far. I have done only 5. How will I clear? Right? Or he has got 80 marks, I got only 30, how will I clear? He has got 80, you have got 30 is not the problem. The problem is you commit the same mistakes in the next mock. Are you able to follow? So don't compare yourself with others, right? Don't compare your performance with others, or don't compare others' performance with yourself. It's like, that Sharma ji ke bete ne aise kar diya, right? The parents talk, right? I mean, you would have heard this a number of times, right? शर्मा जी के बेटे को देखो और इसके बेटे को देखो, इसने ऐसे कर दिया, इसने इतने मार्क्स लाए, इसका परसेंटेज देखो, तुम्हारा परसेंटेज देखो. I mean, jokes apart, but don't compare. I mean, that the moment that comparison comes, you'll not be able to focus, right? You have to be focused, and at the same time you have to relax yourself, right? And this is a very important part of your body, right? You have to ensure that this is relaxed before you go for the exam. Now what I find, when I have visited some of the examination centers, is that there is this 10 o'clock reporting time, right? I mean, 10 o'clock the doors will open for you to enter into the examination hall. Till 9:55, these guys have these books. I don't know where they get these fat books from, right? Which place do they get these books from? And they're preparing something. They have these notes that they have made. They have this list of shortcut formulae, right? That these words and meanings, all these things they're learning, right? And like maybe you feel that this is important. You're preparing till the last minute, but you actually fail to realize that when will this part of your body relax? This is what is going to perform, right? This has to be active. How will this be active if you have not let it rest for even a few minutes? Practicing hard is important. You have to do that, but not till the last minute, not till the examination door. That person is calling you, right? Time up, please enter, and you are still preparing. That is what is, that is what will build pressure, right? You will not realize. The problem in this case is you will not realize, right? In that mode of high preparation, high energy, you're entering, but this is like fully tired, right? It's tired. You have not let it relax. So it's very, very important that you involve in some play. This is an idiom that all work and no play will actually make you a boring person, and you will also get bored, which is very true. But you have to ensure that you relax your body, right? You relax your brain before you go for the exam, right? Sleeping well is very important, right? Work hard, but then sleep well. Give minimum sleep that is needed, right? Of course, I have also, some of you may bring my earlier explanations where more than once I've said that, look at our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, right? Some people come to me and say that, I'm not able to practice because I'm a working professional, right? Morning to evening I go to office, then I have other works to do. I get only 2 hours to prepare. So how should I improve myself? I'll say cut down on your sleep. That's what I've told always, right? People say that I go to college, right? Morning to evening is my college. Then I do some evening shift job, and then I don't find time to prepare, right? And then I have to sleep. I'll say cut down your sleep, right? And the example that I usually give is, of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, right? He sleeps only for 3.5 hours a day. So you can also ensure that you sleep not more than 3.5 hours a day, and cut down on your sleep and spend the time on practicing, which is important, which is needed if you don't have time, but not till the last day of the exam, right? At least 2-3 days before the exam, start relaxing yourself, right? Involve yourself in something which is other than preparing or studying, right? Involve yourself in your hobby, do something that you like, right? And have a very good sleep one day before the exam. At least one day before the exam. Again, don't sleep don't sleep beyond a point, right? And get late for the exam, and that again is a bigger problem. But the point I'm trying to make is just don't push it hard, right? Just don't push it beyond the limits, right? Also let this part relax, and this is not just for the last day. In fact, every day I would say don't just continuously practice, because when you're doing something continuously, after some point of time you'll stop absorbing it, right? For you to again restart the absorption, you have to get out of that first, right? Go out, do something, right? Maybe in the middle half an hour do something, watch some TV show or watch a movie if you like, right? Or do something that you enjoy doing other than preparation, and then start again. That is what will help you, right? That is what will help you grasp more. That is what will help you improve your absorption power, and that is what will help you deliver good performance in the exam. All right, so I think this is very, very important, which I'm sure 100% of the students fail to do, right? So remember, all work and no play will make you a dull boy, right? Or a dull girl, or will make you underperform in the exam, okay? So keep that in mind and relax, okay? Because controlling your emotions and controlling the pressure is also very, very important, right? Controlling that nervousness is also very, very important. All right, so I think that's about it. So I hope all of you have followed, right? So just a quick recap. Point number 1 was, just don't run behind the shortcut formula. There are other important things that you have to do, like practicing on calculations when it comes to quant, improving your vocabulary, right? Building your vocabulary when it comes to English language, right? Knowing the right approach when it comes to reasoning ability, right? So that was reason number 1. Reason number 2 was just practicing is not going to help. You have to analyze each of your performance and ensure that you don't repeat those mistakes, right? It is not just the marks that is important, right? It is more than that, right? If you just ensure that the mistakes that you have committed in one mock test are not repeated in the next one, it will definitely improve a lot, right? Over a period of time, you'll find that yes, you are actually improving. Your scores may dip for some time, but then you'll find that yes, you are actually able to give a better performance with every mock test or practice test that you take, right? Point number 3 was to choose your questions wisely, which again is a very important part of your preparation itself, right? Although you have to choose the questions wisely in the exam, how will you get that ability? Only if you have done that during practicing, right? So that's what I have said, right? You analyze and ensure that you keep improving this, right? So choose your questions wisely. Don't get trapped in those complex questions which are planted by the examiner to waste your time, right? You should be able to avoid that, right? Don't hit every ball, right? Your target is not to hit every ball. And point number 4 was about the cutoff score. Don't worry about the cutoff score, right? Cutoff is not in your control. Just try to give the best performance, right? So only work on things which are under your control. And point number 5, all work and no play is one very one of the major reasons why we fail to deliver in the exam, right? Fail to deliver in the exam. So relax yourself, right? Practice is important, but at the same time, you should take care of your body, your mental health, and your brain there. All right. So with that, I think I would close this session. I hope all of you have enjoyed this. I would not like to say keep practicing today because I've just said practicing alone is not going to help, right? But then when you say keep practicing, practice and analyze. So I'm sure you'll do well. Practice, but don't stretch too much now, right? Because you're too close to the exam. So all the very best. I'm sure you'll do well, and we'll meet again in the next session, right? Keep practicing and take very good care of yourselves. See you. I'm Rohit Agarwal, and I trust our daily dosage of aptitude skills is adding to your preparation for various competitive exams. And here's another one for you, where we shall look at a question that can be solved much faster with the common sense than the conceptual approach. Let's look at the example. In this session today, we are going to look at a super technique to solve frequently asked question from percentage. So at the end of this video, you will be able to solve these type of commonly asked questions from percentages in a jiffy. Let's look at the question first. If A's salary is 25% more than that of B, then by what percentage is B's salary less than that of A?